Well, hey, Book of Luke readers, welcome back to week 2. We're still in the first part of the book of Luke. We're looking at chapter 5, verses 1 through 11 today. It's when Jesus calls his first disciples. I love Luke's account of this, and you're going to love it too. For me, when I first felt my call to ministry, I was young, like 16 years old. I found that there was something about the church and about working with people in the church that sort of made me feel alive. And there were some little notes in my soul that said, maybe I should do this for my life. At the same time, though, there was this other part of me that was rebellious teenager, like up to no good sort of on the weekends. And I know that these seem sort of incompatible, and I felt their incompatibility sort of at that time in my life too. How did I have these two narratives, both this like rebellious sort of spirit as well as this call to sort of serve the church? And I didn't really know what to do with them. The truth is that both of these two paths, they sort of ended up and converged in a place where I was 19 years old and I found out I was pregnant and I was unmarried. And at that point, I wasn't sure if I'd ever live out this side, if I'd ever have the call, or I wondered if the call that I felt sort of even ever existed. When we read about in chapter 5, we read about when Simon Peter first gets called into ministry. We find Simon today doing what he's always doing. He's fishing. He is a fisherman. And he's sitting out there in a boat, and he's next to his friends, James and John. And they'd been fishing all night, and they totally caught nothing. And then all of a sudden, down the beach comes this teacher, this new teacher in this area named Jesus, and he's being followed by a crowd. Now, this crowd is so big that they keep gathering around Jesus, and they can't really see him or hear him. So Jesus asks Peter, says, hey, I'm going to get into your boat. And so he gets into the boat of Simon Peter, and Simon pulls away from the shore just a little bit. That way, Jesus can sit down, the crowd can sit down, and everybody sort of has a good vantage point. When Jesus is done teaching, the crowd kind of goes, and he tells Simon Peter this. He says, Simon, I want you to put your nets back out again. And this is where Simon Peter is like, seriously, Jesus? Like, we're the fishermen here. You're the rabbi. We put our nets out all night and we got skunked. We caught nothing. And now you this smart teacher, are going to tell us how to fish. But there's something about Jesus. So they decide that they're going to sort of do it anyway. They put the nets back out, and an abundance of fish immediately sort of entered the nets to the point where the nets were about to break. When they pulled the nets into the boats began to sink. And it's at this point when Simon Peter's heart is just completely and forever changed. But what I think is the most interesting about this part is Peter's reaction to the change. The first thing he says is, now go away from me, Lord, because I am a sinful man. Go away from me, Lord, because I am a sinful man. His first reaction isn't like, oh, wow. Instead, it's Peter looking at himself in a mirror and seeing all the things that he screwed up, all of his own choices, all of his sins. Go away from me, Lord. I am not worthy. I have fallen short of being even able to be present in your space. And here's what's amazing. Jesus knows this about Peter. And he knows, and it doesn't disqualify Peter from the call that Jesus is about to put on his life. Jesus doesn't sit there and say, you know what, Peter, you're going to have to fix your screw ups before I find a job for you. Jesus doesn't make him feel guilty, like, oh, you need to confess your sins. Instead, he looks at Peter and he says, Peter, from now on, you're going to be a fisher of men. He doesn't name his mistakes. He doesn't name his sins. Instead, he sort of elevates Peter. My guess is that Jesus is going to use Peter's sinful past to create something good out of it. You see, Jesus doesn't erase the unsavory parts of Peter, but he's going to use those parts to point to others. Friends, here's the truth. Maybe you've been ignoring an invitation from God because you don't think that you're good enough, or you feel like your mistakes have sort of run their course, or they feel like that they disqualify you. The truth is learn from Peter. See how Jesus embraces Simon Peter's whole vulnerability, whole humanity. And the truth is that Jesus embraces yours too. It's just not the end of the story. So here are my 2 questions for you today. Number 1, when have you disqualified yourself by feeling like you're not worthy or that your sins amount too much when it comes to a call from God? And number 2, how can maybe those unsavory parts of your past, maybe God can use those to help others? What might that look like?